All right, college baseball is upon us, and I like a good underdog, which baseball has plenty. More on that coming up. Hello. Welcome to the Four Strike Show. I'm your host, John Behrens.
And I'm Joshua Perkins.
One of my favorite things about any sport really is a really good underdog show. Always fascinated with small teams that come along and just beat up on the big guys.
It's some of the greatest David versus Goliath stories.
I mean, when you hear major postseason tournament upsets, obviously the first thing that comes to most people's mind is March Madness, which, don't get me wrong, March Madness, love it, and well deserving of the attention. But to me, looking at the history of college baseball, upsets is where it's at.
I mean, you have some of the greatest sports upsets in college baseball. I mean, unarguably.
I would just look real quick at just some of the ones that happened last year, which actually were quite a few. Now, we didn't have any underdogs make a run for the title like we have recently in the last few years, but there was actually a few that I want to say half the regional host got upset last year, which was
we could talk about upsets as long as you don't remind me of Stony Brook upsetting LSU that one year.
I think you just reminded yourself.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's pull that up. I just want to go over who last year's bracket. All right. So the Cal State Fullerton upset Stanford in the Stanford Regional, which is not surprising. Coastal Carolina was able to, I want to say, get their third host site and actually lost.
NC State got upset by Auburn, and Clemson got upset in their own regional.
Let's see. What's some real upsets that happened last year? Well, Stetson took everybody by surprise, and you also had Minnesota. Well, Minnesota was actually, I forgot they were actually a regional host, but Tennessee Tech eliminated
Ole
Miss from their regional. So you had a lot of regional hosts losing last year.
And that was a big upset considering the fact that Ole Miss won the SEC last season.
They did. That's right.
Because I remember LSU and Ole Miss went at it for the SEC championship game in the final of the tournament.
Now I'm going to go back to Stetson, and Stetson surprised a lot of people. Now, I just want to read off some of their accomplishments. Steve Trimper is their head coach. He's in his third year right now, but last year was his second season, and he led them to a 48-15 record overall, which was an insane improvement. It tied the program record for most wins. Not only did they get their first regional host site in program history, but they advanced in the playoffs to the Super Regionals for the first time ever as well. For the third consecutive season, they set the team record for strikeouts with 635.
That's impressive.
That is a lot.
That's a huge testament to their bullpen.
So not just their bullpen, they had 3 starting pitchers with more than 100 strikeouts.
But I mean, apparently it's obvious that he's doing something right. He has them in the right direction. He's going to his third season. He's only in his third season, so it's the rebuilding, aspect didn't really take too long as far as when he got settled into Stetson. It just goes to show what more can Stetson be capable of in the years to come. I mean, you could look at them maybe making a run for Omaha next season, maybe this season.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. I have looked back at Stetson Hatters. That's officially their name, and they have a little bit. Trimper has a little bit of team history to go up against.
All right.
So prior to 2018, the last time they made a tournament appearance was 2011, and you have to go back to 2007 before that. So there's a tad bit, a little bit of inconsistency as far as success goes.
I mean, as far as getting a new head coach and then with the coaching staff, I mean, there's a lot that can be done. So, I mean, I have no doubt that he has the Hatters going in the right direction, and they have a lot of momentum. Of course, going to their first Super Regional program history this past season, they're riding on a lot of momentum, and there's a lot of excitement around this baseball team.
Mm-hmm. Now, they do have 7 of their starting 9 coming back this year, so that's a bit of a plus. And they were one of the top fielding teams in the Atlantic Sun Conference. Now, pitching-wise, they're going to have to replace 3 other 4 starters. But what they do get back is Mitchell Singer, who was one of the 3 pitchers to go over 100 strikeouts. And Singer finished with, I want to say, ERA of
2.51.
2.51, which is...
And he finished 8th in the whole nation in complete games with 4. So you're talking about a true Iron Man when it comes to the pitching.
So they got some solid pitchers coming back, and they have a experienced core coming back as far as their starting lineup goes. I mean, granted, they weren't the most explosive team out there, but they won based a lot on their their defense and pitching. So, which you can win by, but at the same time, you want a little bit of firepower when it comes to late in the season. And they went. Who did they? Okay, North Carolina. Yeah, took them 2-0 in the Super Regional. So, while very impressive, a little bit of work left to go, and it is possible. I mean, we just had Coastal Carolina win the World Series 2 years ago.
So it can be done.
Yeah.
But, I mean, Stetson, they're going to have to go through superpowers like Oregon State or LSU, Vanderbilt. So, I mean, it's going to be a tough road. So if you're looking to try and win the whole thing, you're going to go against some powerhouses.
Well, I just think they're right there in the middle of, I want to say, Orlando. DeLand, Florida, is right outside Orlando. What is Florida? It has the big 3 Florida teams: Miami, Florida State, and Florida.
So just right there, enough is it's a challenge.
Yeah, but I was very impressed with what they did last season, and I'm excited to see what their follow up is. Now, granted, they didn't have the most appealing recruiting class, but small schools like that really don't. However, they should get some better recruits in with consistency. I'm going to say second, third year is typically when recruiting starts to really pick up, and recruits like, you know what, you got something going here. I want to join that coach in that college.
As if, the coach, he's slowly trying to build his repertoire. I mean, yeah, as far as on the team itself, not a whole lot. I mean, the rebuilding, the hard part's pretty much already done. Now it's time to start kind of building on the outside as far as the recruiting and as far as the consistency. I feel that they've bought into, he's got them acclimated to his system and to his structure, and so they're just ready to go out there and execute. Yeah.
Now, we mentioned Coastal Carolina, which is quite honestly probably my favorite out-of-state team. I love the Chanticleers. Chanticleers, whatever. I don't know. Weird name. Okay.
I know.
I always find them really exciting to watch, and they caught my attention, I want to say, 8 or 9 years ago when I started to realize, hey, this team's in the tournament every year.
I was kind of the same way. I'm like, who is Dallas Baptist and how did they get in? That's Dallas Baptist itself sounds like a really, really small school, and they're in the NCAA tournament with all the big boys.
We're talking about Coastal Carolina. We'll get to Dallas Baptist.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was thinking about Dallas Baptist. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I mean, Dallas. Okay, fine. We'll go with Dallas Baptist.
I mean, because Dallas Baptist to me is impressive. I mean, yeah, Coastal Carolina is impressive, but I don't think I'll put them on the plane with the Underdogs anymore. Considering the fact they've already won the whole thing, and they've already had to go through some big boys to do it.
Yeah. Okay. All right, I'll give you that. So yeah, Dallas Baptist, the Patriots. They've only been part of Division I for, I don't know, 10, 11 years, something like that?
That's actually not a really long time.
No, but they actually have a history of winning. They I forget the initials of it, but it was like Division II baseball. They made it to the World Series like 10 straight seasons or 10 times, something like that, and they're a 2-time champion over there. But yeah, they're one of 4 teams that have won about 40 plus wins every year for the last 5 seasons. Let's see, who are the others? It was like Florida State. I have it pulled up. I know it's somewhere here. One of 4. Oh well, I'm lost in this thing. Anyway, they also yeah. Let's see. They have some returning players. Now they were hit pretty hard with players leaving last season, and but they got some guys coming back, like Jimmy Gawowski. He batted 336, 51 runs, 10 home runs, 16 doubles, 50 RBIs, and only 26 strikeouts and 229 plate appearances.
So just know when you go against him, there's a very low chance you're going to strike him out.
Now, another one was Luke Banty, who led the team with 15 stolen bases in 18 attempts, so that's pretty good. Their top reserves, Hill, Alexander, and Evan Sandman, looked like they can have some real potential. They did really well, considering how limited their plate appearances were. They were key reserves, but pitching wise, they have Jared Bayless, Luke Eldred, Cragen Keekley, no relations. Just want to put that out there, no relations. McGregor Hines, 4 guys who had an ERA under 4. So that's pretty impressive.
It's another team that's impressive in the pitching aspect of the game.
Their top returner is M.D. Johnson, who went 8-2. He had, not the best numbers per se. He did lead the team with 77 innings pitched. He I would say was team leader with 76 strikeouts. And let's see where it was. Oh yeah. He limited opponents to a batting average of .267.
It's actually not too bad.
No. And they've made the tournament the last 5 seasons, including clinching their first regional host site back in 2016, I want to say, or 17. One of those 2 years. Yeah, it was 16. Again, they've made the postseason 8 times in the last 11 seasons.
Yeah, Dallas Baptist, they're kind of that team to where, some of the big boys will get into the tournament. Some of the known teams will get into the tournament, and it's kind of like that team that can knock you down a few sizes. If you want to see what it's like to get upset pretty bad, go against Dallas Baptist, and they'll eliminate you.
They've only advanced once in the postseason, but I feel like Dallas Baptist is a team that is just it's only a matter of time before they make a real run for it.
And they're that one team you can't put anything past. You can't put anything past them. They're very capable of making a run if they want to.
Yeah, and so I'm always excited for. Well, I won't say. I only discovered them about 3 or 4 years ago, but they've been real impressive to watch and real exciting. I'm always, ever since learning about them, I'm always looking forward to see how they're going to do. I'm going to go back to Coastal Carolina. Yeah, I understand the reasons why you don't consider them much of an underdog, but still, they're a pretty small school.
They are, and in a considerably small conference.
They're I would say in their 3rd season in the Sun Belt Conference.
Right.
Yeah, and as we mentioned, 2016 they went the distance. They won the national title, and they came into Alex Box Stadium and took the Tigers 2-0. I've said it before. My dad, when they came, was like, "Who is this?" I never heard of him. I was like,
"Don't jinx it."
I was like, "These guys are dangerous," and they have made the postseason 15 times since 2000.
And you want to know something crazy? Because when I found out that LSU was going against Coastal Carolina in Super Regional, I had a bad feeling in my gut. I had a gut feeling that LSU is going to blow this one. They're just going to blow this one. Coastal Carolina's probably come in and going to surprise the whole nation. And they came in and shocked everybody. Because one thing for certain, it's hard to beat LSU 2 times in a row.
Yeah.
It's a lot harder to do it when you go to Alex Box.
Yeah, Alex Box is one of the harder places to come and win, much less win a series.
And Super Regional.
LSU does not lose postseason series at home too often.
They don't. That's a rarity. They do that as rare as like a solar eclipse.
In fact, the entire time that I've been watching them, I can only think of 2 times they have lost to Alex Box Stadium in the postseason. That was the 2005 season against Rice, which LSU just kind of sucked that year anyway. That was, I want to say, Smoke Laval's second to last year. And the 2016 Super Regionals against Coastal Carolina.
Let's not forget the Super Regional against Stony Brook.
Oh, yeah. Okay, you see, even I forget that. Yeah, Stony Brook. That year, the offense was terrible.
Very.
So like, you had to get excited for scoring 3 runs half the time.
It was just so frustrating to watch. I remember watching. I'm just like, what is going on with this team? They should be, firing away.
Mm-hmm. Well, like I said, they didn't have much of offense. They won almost entirely on their pitching and their defense, which for both of those were phenomenal that year. That was not Coleman. Gosman.
Yeah, I remember Gosman.
Gosman was pitching that year, and that was also on, let's say, Aaron Nola's freshman year.
I remember Nola. Aaron Nola.
And I forget his first name, but Gosman were the 2 big pitchers for LSU that year. Yeah. Anyway, Coastal Carolina, another team that has recently been kind of just hit with people leaving. Do have some guys coming back. They have Parker Chavez, who was 3rd on the team with a batting average of .323, had 15 doubles, which is not too bad, and 42 RBI. Zach Bierman batted .302, 14 doubles, 13 home runs, 57 RBI. Corey Wood, a .296 batting average, 3rd best on the team with 61 runs and had 17 stolen bases. So when I was looking at Coastal Carolina, their stats, they had a really impressive number of doubles. So even though they weren't like maybe the best hitting team out there, they still scored a lot of runs, it looks like.
They still knew how to advance their guys on base.
Extra base hits. And they also, it gets like stolen bases, team leader was 23. Team lead for home runs, I want to say it was 20, which is not too bad in this era of college baseball, especially with new bats and all that. Which I don't know if you remember, it's like 2-3 years ago, they had just introduced a new bat to the game, and then what ended up with resulting was like the lowest run average in history of college baseball. That year was incredibly boring.
I want to see runs. I want to see home runs. I want to see stolen bases.
I mean, I want to say that was the year that UCLA won the World Series with like a run average under 4.
To kind of keep that team composite ERA under 4 is pretty impressive. Because you're going to have 1 or 2 pitchers that go over that danger line.
Well, I'm talking about their offense, man. Their offense averaged less than 4 runs a game.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the pitching.
No, this is when the bats were so ridiculously restrictful that I want to say the run average per game in 2013 was like 4 runs.
I bet that year, if you were a fan of any baseball team, you might as well just not even bring your glove to the game because you're probably not going to catch anything.
No, I mean, it set the record for fewest runs, fewest home runs. Teams had to win games by stealing bases.
You got to do what you got to do in order to advance your guys.
I know. It's just, and then they decided, you know what? Okay, we're not going to change the bats. We're going to change the baseballs. And so now the baseballs apparently are lighter. It was like, oh, we're going to take advice from the Rockies and do what they do.
Out of all teams, the Rockies, really? I could have understood if you said the New York Yankees, 27-time world champions, but no, you want to go with the Rockies. Okay. Now you see why you're in a predicament that you're in.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think the Rockies, the thing about Coors Field is that it's because it's such a high altitude, it is a hitter's dream come true.
Yeah.
So they used to hit a ridiculous number of home runs in Coors Field. So the league decided, actually, it's like, I want to say, yeah. What they do is they keep the balls that are going to be used in Coors Field in like a humidifier room.
They actually do that for the baseballs?
Or a dehumidifier room, yeah. Because the baseballs are made out of cork and wool.
I got you.
So
the more you know, I didn't really know that about baseballs.
Yeah, you wouldn't know just by holding one, because if you get hit with one, it's gonna like crack your skull open or something like that.
That's why I just played football growing up.
Oh yes, play football, the much safer sport.
I don't know. Well, they're trying to make it safer. They're trying to, but apparently if you not, if you go into sack a quarterback, if you don't have pillow, roses, and a bottle of champagne, then they're going to call roughing the passer on you. Like, remember, defensive ends and linebackers, when you sack the quarterback, you also have to ask them out on a date as well in order to not get flagged. Just letting you know.
Anyway, so one of the things that is constantly looked at is, okay, what can we say is responsible for such small teams doing so well apparently all of a sudden? Because when you look at the history of college baseball, not too many small schools have won championships over the years. Prior to really 2004, I want to say, is when...
Well, I think it lies within coaching staffs, because you see a lot of these small schools, they're getting very experienced coaches, like coaches who have been to the College World Series, coaches who have coached All-Americans, and they've coached guys who've been selected in MLB draft who are MLB All-Stars now. I guess it's just within coaching staff.
Well, yeah, coaching has definitely played a huge role in the advancement of small schools. No question about that. But another thing that has played a role that I know for certain is the way they do recruiting now. I forget what year it was, but it was not long after the turn of the century that they restructured recruiting to where you can actually offer partial scholarships. You don't have to offer a full scholarship now. In fact, you can offer a books and supplies scholarship.
Which leads to more players and gives teams more leeway. But back to to support my, statement of it's in the coaching staff of why these small schools are competing so well. Let's take a look at Wichita State's coaching staff, and I'm looking at kind of like their history. In their between everybody on the coaching staff, you have a combined 2 national championships, 2 runner-ups, 9 College World Series appearances, 2 All-Americans, 12. They have a 12-year major leaguer and 1 MLB draft first-round draft pick. That's their coaching staff. Look at Todd Butler. He's in his 6th season as the head coach of Wichita State. He spent his previous 8 seasons as the hitting coach and outfield coach and recruiting coordinator for the Arkansas Razorbacks. During his 26-year tenure, he has guided teams to 5 College World Series appearances and 4 Super Regionals. In addition, his teams have been ranked number 1 5 times in his career. So having a guy like Todd Butler, no matter what team you are, can definitely put you in position for victory.
Yeah. Well, Wichita State doesn't surprise me too much. They were the powerhouse back in the 80s and the 90s, actually winning a World Series. I want to say 83, something like that. They were the runner-up facing LSU in the title game in 93 and... How's it? 91 and 93? Because they played Miami in 96. Actually, and now I'm curious. Let's see, what years were that? Okay. 93. I was right about that. In 91, yeah, it was the 91 and 93 seasons. The Wichita State faced LSU in the World Series Finals. So, but they did have a bit of a drop off. So, I mean, what has Wichita State been doing lately?
What has Wichita State been doing lately?
Yeah.
I mean, well, last season they kind of had a little up and down year. I guess it was probably their rebuilding year. They went 35-21 overall, and they finished with a losing record in conference. And it was kind of uncharacteristic of a Todd Butler team.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Wichita State, they're looking to get things going this season. I mean, just a little bit, on who they're playing. They start off the season this Friday in the 2-game series against Grand Canyon University. They actually have a doubleheader on Saturday against Grand Canyon and Stanford. That's going to be the Angels College Classic. So they're looking to start off on a high note. You got Grand Canyon, you got Stanford, and then on Sunday they go against the Pepperdine Waves.
Oh, Pepperdine. I forget about Pepperdine.
I sometimes forget about them too.
But did you know they actually have won a World Series?
I'm actually seeing it on the computer screen right now, actually.
Yeah, 92. And again, Andy Lopez was their coach, so that's not too surprising. But beating Cal State Fulton for the final, that is a little bit surprising because, Fulton's always been a really good program.
They've always been a contender. That's always a team that teams tend to overlook.
Yeah, people forget that Cal State Fulton has a history of championship runs. The last one was 2004. Yeah. But I want to say their program, they have about 3 or 4 championships overall. But here's the thing about the turn of the century that really impresses me or fascinates me is, okay, so you got USC, who leads all programs with 11 World Series titles. Texas and LSU have 6 apiece. Arizona State, they got 5 apiece. Cal State Fulton has 4. USC has not won a national title since 1998. Arizona State hasn't won a championship since, you have to go back all the way to 1981 for that.
Good Lord.
Texas, since the changes to the World Series were made, 1. Now, granted, they have a championship in 2002, but that was before the College World Series went to its current format. LSU, since the current format was established, 1 championship. But Oregon State, 3. Vanderbilt, who never wins anything,
2.
1. No, is 1. 2014. South Carolina, 2. And were runner-up. They almost won 3 straight. And again, South Carolina, what did they win championships in? Nothing. And then you had Coastal Carolina, 2016. I lost. Fresno State, 2008. I mean, and then Rice. While Rice has a history of winning baseball, 2005, that was their first championship 2003. That was their first championship ever. But, Rice has a history of a lot of really good players that go in there. And I want to see, was it Chuck Knobloch who went there? And I also want to say Kirby Puckett, but I could be wrong about that. So
I remember Rice and LSU had their fair share of wars in the past.
Oh, yeah. Well, I think it's because there's such a close proximity that either LSU goes to Rice or Rice comes here. So
Yeah, I used to love how LSU and Rice would go at it. I remember one year LSU had went to the College World Series after beating Rice. I want to say it was 21-7 in game 3 of the Super Regional.
yeah.
LSU was swinging bats all over the place.
That was the '09 season. Yeah, that was the '09 season.
And that was the year LSU had beaten Texas.
But baseball, it's really become anybody's game, which is why I find it so exciting. As exciting as March Madness is, I mean, when is the last time you had a small school win a championship? What? West Texas?
That's you're talking about in baseball or basketball?
Basketball.
Oh yeah, the current UTEP, which was Texas Western back then. Texas Western that was they had beaten Kentucky, and that Kentucky team. Guess who was on that Kentucky team? Pat Riley.
Well, they had several noteworthy guys on that team. Pat Riley's the only one that comes to mind right now. I have to look it up. I'm not going to take.
But
time.
I remember Texas Western's head coach. He has sat down all of his Caucasian players, and he put in all of his African American players. This is during the segregation times, and knocked off Kentucky in the national championship game.
Adolph Rupp's team.
Yep. You talking about, and that's who the Rupp Arena is named after. And speaking of the Rupp Arena, LSU men's basketball is taking their hot streak to Kentucky tonight.
Yeah. So, I mean, as much as I was saying, as much as I love March Madness, it's just still, when's the last time you seen a small school win it all? You have to go back.
We have seen small schools come close, like Loyola last season.
Loyola Chicago. And you still have yet to see a 16 beat a 1, which is what I really want to see. I want to see a 16 beat a 1. But,
I think the 1 year where I nearly saw a 16 beat a 1 was basically the last time the Southern Jaguars were in the NCAA tournament. This is while they had to go against Gonzaga, and this was when Kelly Olynyk, who was one of the best players in the nation, was playing for Gonzaga. Southern went in there and they lost by how much? Like 3-4 points?
Yeah.
It came down to the final minute of the game, and Southern almost beat Gonzaga. I'll never forget.
So, it's not unheard of to have the big upset. We have come close to number 1, losing to a 16.
Wait, it happened last season. UMBC knocked off Virginia first round. That was a 16 beating 1 right there.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that.
UMBC, Maryland, Baltimore County, knocking off the Retrievers, knocking off the Virginia Cavaliers, who were one of the hottest teams in the nation coming into the tournament.
That's right. It's like number 1 seeds have been something like 92-0 going into that game.
What a way to jinx it, huh?
Okay. So I stand corrected, but that's just one time. It's while not common, it's not unheard of for a number 4 to be the number 1 seed.
I mean, you have a better chance of a 16 beating a 1 in baseball than a 16 beating a 1 in basketball.
Yeah. So, I mean, we've talked about all we can is concerning underdogs and baseball. Always looking forward to that major upset. There's always at least one major upset every year. Usually there's multiple ones. So I really excited about that. Can't wait to see who's going to be the next small school to go the distance. Because like I said, it's only a matter of time before someone else makes a run for it.
Oh, most definitely. I mean, I want to see an underdog win the whole thing. That's where a lot of bettors win a whole lot of money.
Anyway, that has been today's episode of the Fourth Strike Show. It's gone on a little bit long, but oh well.
Hey, y'all, go to the website and check out the thumbnails that John made. They are absolutely amazing. Like, his thumbnails are freaking epic.
Yeah.
I thought I'd put that out there.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for the advertisement. I have been working on better thumbnails, so that's been the advisory. Anyway, you can find us on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and as always, AISportsNetwork.com. I am John Behrens.
I'm Joshua Perkins.
And thank you for tuning in to this episode of the Fourth Strike Show. This is AI Sports signing out.
Fourth strike, you're out.